So really quick special safety note before we get started on this lesson. Really, none of our candies today are truly edible, but I do want to let you know that they do contain gluten. The Red Hots and the mini marshmallows both contain gluten. So if any of your kiddos or you have a gluten allergy and you don't want to handle any of these, an acceptable substitute would be something like Skittles, or Jet Puff marshmallows are actually gluten-free rather than the mini marshmallows and the Red Hots. So just a quick kind of reminder, an allergy alert for these materials. Hi everyone, I'm Comet Christina and welcome back for Science Explorers. We're starting our new topic today, Is There a Doctor in the House? And basically all of us are going to become doctors as we explore all the different parts of our body. This is lesson 1, Blood is Thicker Than Water. So you're gonna need your Blood is Thicker Than Water kit. And then at home, you're going to need something to cover your table, some paper towels in case there are any messes. You're going to need some Scotch tape, a yellow crayon or marker, a pen or pencil to write with. If you don't have one, you can use the crayon. And then you're also going to need the Parts of My Blood lab sheet from your curriculum. So go ahead and collect everything that you need and then we can get started. All right, so in today's lesson, we are all going to become hematologists. Can you take a guess at what hematologists study? Blood. And why do you think that the study of blood is important? Is blood important to the functioning of our bodies? Blood is super important. In fact, without blood, our bodies would stop working. Blood carries nutrients to our cells in our body as well as oxygen. So it's essential for us to survive. And it actually also helps remove some waste from our body. So let's do a little bit of thinking. How much blood do you think is in the average human body? Let's do a visual to find out. All right, here in front of me, I have what we're going to pretend is blood in my gallon container. So just in case you didn't know, in a gallon, there's almost 4 liters inside of a gallon. 4 liters of liquid can fit inside of a gallon, just shy of that. To be precise, it's 3.78 liters, so pretty close. So I already have about 2 liters of blood in here now. So take a guess. Do you think that the human body has 2 liters of blood in it? To put that in perspective, if you ever keep soda in your home, they usually come in 2-liter bottles. Those long, skinny bottles are about 2 liters. 1 liter would be about the size of your average water bottle, just to kind of put that in perspective. So there's 2 liters in here right now. What do you think? Do you think there's this much blood in the human body? More? Less? So here, I have a pitcher. This pitcher has another 2 liters of liquid. So the human body actually has more liquid than this. So let's add in our pitcher. The gallon jugs are actually a little bit deceptive. They carry or hold a little bit more liquid than what they look like, because this looks like a lot. I would say this almost looks like close in size to this visually, to me. But we already have about 2 liters in here. Here's another 2 liters. Let's see if it fits. I'm gonna add this slowly so I don't spill any blood, since it's so important. Like I said, it's deceptive. I've poured almost this entire thing in here. I think it just might fit. Okay, so this is almost 4 liters of blood. What about now? Do you think this is how much blood is in the human body? Have you ever picked up a gallon of milk? It's really heavy. That's a lot of weight. So the human body actually has 5 liters of blood in it. So it actually is more than this. And to put that in perspective, when this thing is full, that's 2 liters. So we could put another half one of these into some kind of container plus this amount, and that would be how much blood is in the human body at any given time. Now that's an average for like an adult-sized person. Kids might have a little bit less, but still, that's a lot of blood. Did you think it was going to be that much? All right, now we're going to make an actual visual model and learn all the different components of what blood is composed of. So from your kit, you're going to need your container of corn syrup, your plastic spoon, and you're going to need your little baggie that has candies in it. It should have some mini marshmallows, some Red Hots, and some sprinkles. So a couple notes before we get started on this. Typically, corn syrup and these little candies are edible, but in our warehouse, they've been packed by people, so for safety reasons, they're not necessarily food safe for consumption, so we don't want to eat anything, even though these are technically edible materials. In this case, they're not. Another thing is you're going to want to save 1 Red Hot, 1 mini marshmallow, and 3 little sprinkles for our next activity, because we're going to make a key to kind of demonstrate the different parts that we're getting ready to put together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my corn syrup. And the corn syrup actually does represent a part of our blood, and that part is plasma. So plasma is the liquid that carries all the other different parts of our blood from one part of our body to the other. So think of it as like a river that flows across our body, and it makes up about 55% of blood. So a lot of that is plasma, and it's like this clear yellowish liquid. So inside the plasma is our red blood cells. So we're going to use our Red Hots to demonstrate our red blood cells. I'm actually going to kind of dump this out so I can pick from it a little bit easier. So you're going to need about 4 Red Hots. Now remember, you want to set aside one of these for our next one. So I'm going to pick out my 4 red blood cells. So these are our red blood cells, and what red blood cells do is they carry oxygen to our body. So take a deep breath. When you do that, the red blood cells inside of our plasma carry oxygen to all the different cells in our body, because we need oxygen to survive. So go ahead and add those to your plasma. Okay, and red blood cells make up about, I think it's 40% of our blood. All right, next is going to be our white blood cells. So these are going to be our mini marshmallows. So we're going to I have 3 left after I've saved my 1. So I'm going to put my 3 into my plasma. And let's talk about white blood cells. So they only make up about 1% of your blood. They have a really important job. I think of them as the little ninjas inside of our body. White blood cells fight infection and any kind of anything that comes into our body that it's not supposed to be there. White blood cells will rush to the area and kind of attack those things to protect our bodies. There's actually some visuals. Here's a couple slideshows you're going to see of some examples of red blood cells and white blood cells. And the white blood cells of a normal body, there's less of them. But if someone's sick, so for instance, one of these slides shows someone with leukemia. If someone's sick, the white blood count goes up. And that's actually one of the ways they can test to see if someone is sick. They have an elevated or higher white blood cell count than they're supposed to. They know their body is producing more because there's something going on in the body that it wants to fight. So those white blood cells are there to kind of help protect you. All right, and then the sprinkles represent something in our blood called platelets. So I'm just going to grab a handful of sprinkles and I'm going to pour those. Actually, I'm going to put it on my spoon to make it a little bit neater. I'm going to put those into our plasma. So have you ever fallen down and scraped your knee? Did it bleed? Did you bleed forever, or did it stop? So it should stop. If you have normal, healthy blood, the platelets are little pieces of cells that actually stop that flow of blood. If you have a cut or an injury, they'll rush to that area and the little pieces will catch on each other and kind of like clog it, so to speak, so that you stop bleeding. So that's what platelets do. They protect you against injuries so that you don't lose that 5 liters of blood in your body. So I'm gonna put the lid on, and now I have a really cool replica of what the inside of our blood consists of. So we have the plasma, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, and the platelets. So next we're going to make a key so that we can identify all these different parts that we just talked about. So you're going to want this in front of you as a visual. You're also going to want to grab a pen and your Parts of My Blood lab sheets, as well as some Scotch tape. So go ahead and get that collected, and then we'll come back and fill out our lab sheet. All right, so now I have set aside my little Red Hot, my mini marshmallow, my little sprinkles. I have our visual of the different parts of blood here in front of me, Scotch tape, my yellow crown, and then my lab sheet. Okay, so the different parts of my blood. The first one is the red blood cells. So that's represented by our Red Hots. So I'm gonna take a little piece of tape. It's not a very good one. Take a little piece of tape and tape that to the square on my lab sheet right beside red blood cells. All right, so just like this. All right, and this kind of goes over, reminds us of what the red blood cells do. And some really cool facts about red blood cells too. So this says about every 120 days, the red blood cells get worn out and die. But your bones keep making new red blood cells so you never run out. So that's pretty neat. All right, our white blood cells are our mini marshmallows. So again, I'm gonna take a little piece of tape and I'm gonna tape this mini marshmallow in the square right beside our white blood cell section. There you go. And this kind of goes into more detail about how they work. So this says that they have a lot of ways in which they can attack those things in your body that aren't supposed to be there. So sometimes they'll overpower the germ and sometimes they'll surround and eat the bacteria, and white blood cells only live for a few days. All right, so plasma, it's corn syrup. There's no way to really tape corn syrup to our lab sheet. So we're just gonna take our yellow crown or marker and we're just gonna color in our box. Because remember, we said that plasma is like a clear yellowish kind of liquid. So this will kind of represent the plasma for us. So you actually, not necessarily as a child, but when you get older, you can donate blood or you can donate plasma. There's actually machines out there that can separate the plasma from the other parts of your blood, because some people just need the plasma and not necessarily the blood for donations. All right, so the platelets are our sprinkles. So I'm gonna grab my handful of sprinkles. I'm gonna put those in my little box there. And I'm gonna tape this down with our tape. And this has some cool facts on it too. So when you, like we talked about, when you fall down and scrape your knee, after a while, what ends up happening? Do you get like a scab over top of it? That is the forming of platelets. It gets really hard and it helps that area kind of heal. So here we go. This is our visual of our completed lab sheet. So now we have a key so we can remember what all the different parts of our blood are and some really cool facts about each of them. All right, so now we're going to talk about bruising. So what exactly is a bruise? I don't know about you, but I have played a lot of sports in my lifetime and still do, and I have had a lot of bruises. So bruises are actually what happens when you bump into something really hard and it damages the capillaries or the blood vessels underneath your skin. And then blood starts to leak out. And then the platelets kind of rush to the area and kind of form there. So there's something in blood called hemoglobin. And hemoglobin is what gives blood that red color. So after time though, that hemoglobin gets reabsorbed into the body, and so the blood that's there pooled at the surface starts to change color. So it starts as a red, and then it changes to like a blue blackish color, and then as it continues to heal, it changes colors like green, yellow, and then brown as it's at the end of its healing process. So there's actually pigments that kind of form that cause that, and one is called biliverdin, and that is a green pigment, and the other is bilirubin, which is like a yellow-brown pigment. So we're going to use our colored tempera paint. There should be 4 different tempera paints in your kit. You should have green, yellow, red, and then purple. And then you should also grab your cotton swabs, and we're going to use these to paint our own bruises on our skin. So you want to make sure that you're not putting this anywhere near your eyes, nose, mouth, or anywhere where it can get kind of ingested into your body. So you want to do this somewhere else. So the trick to making a bruise look really realistic, there's two tricks actually. One, it's proper use of color. So the center of your bruise should either be red or purple. And then you want to do yellow and green on the outsides because those are going to start kind of healing first. And then also you want to use a lot of blending. So blending is when we really kind of rub things together. So colors kind of really, there's no line in between them. They kind of just blend right into each other. So I'm going to work on my bruise and I'm going to start with red in the middle of mine. So I'm just going to dip a little bit of red and I'm going to start right here where I can see it really well. All right, so now I'm finishing up. I'm taking just a little bit of my yellow. And what I did for my bruise is I put red in the very center. Then I took purple and I went over top of the red and made a little bit of an outline around that red. So the purple went a little bit further than my red did. Then I took my green and I used a different cotton swab for each of my colors. I took the green and I went around the purple and kind of blended them together. And then I'm taking my yellow and I'm putting it over top of my green and I'm kind of spreading it out because I will tell you my bruises, they tend to like really spread. That's just my experience. So you can see it here, but I'm gonna give you like a close-up. I think I made it look pretty realistic, but what do you guys think? Does that look pretty good? I think I captured a bruise pretty well. I play a lot of softball, and I can tell you I know for a fact I've been hit by a softball and left with marks that look a lot like that, maybe with some stitch marks in there too. But I didn't have enough tempera paint to kind of make those. So yeah, you have enough tempera paint that you can make up to 3 different kind of bruise artwork on your body. So go ahead and take some time, do that, play with your tempera paint, see if you can perfect your bruise artistic skills. And so that's the end of our lesson. Now you should know all the different parts of blood. You have this really cool visual and a key to remind you of what the different parts do. And now you should know why blood is so important and why it's necessary for our bodies and for us to live. So I hope you had fun being hematologist. I'll see you next week for lesson 2. Bye guys.